Outside of Ole Miss, which three games are we paying attention to this weekend? We tell you exactly what that is and more right here on 3 Games to Watch on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to this extra edition of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. This is 3 games to watch this weekend. Outside of Ole Miss, who are we paying attention to? Those 3 games are Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Kentucky and Florida. And as soon as we tell you about this, we're going to tell you why. From cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts. And it really hurts. That's why I started using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone that buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With every purchase, I'm earning cash back. Thanks to Upside. So to get started, download the free Upside app. Use promo code LOCKED and get $5 off or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Next, claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. Check in at the business. Pay as usual with a credit or debit card and get paid. So in comparison to credit card rewards or loyalty programs, you can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every week. That's probably why they have a 4.8 star rating on the App Store. So this is what you need to do. Download the free Upside app. Use promo code LOCKED, one word, to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's 5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Use promo code LOCKED. And also, BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your pro and college betting needs and sports info this season. Find all of our latest Football League developments and game matchups, news and podcasts, including this year's opening week's games. BetOnline is also your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf, maybe even a little MLS. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, there's 3 games that besides Ole Miss that I'm going to pay attention to. Ole Miss, obviously, because of the quarterback competition, we're going to go all over that. We got Twitter Spaces coming up. We got SEC After Dark talking about it. We got Biscuits and SEC talking about it. We're going to have Joe DeLeon from Central Arkansas talking about that game. So this does not replace any content that you were expecting of talking about the Central Arkansas game. But 3 games outside of Ole Miss that we are looking for. Alabama and Texas. And it's intriguing because I'm trying to think of the last true road non-conference game Alabama played in. I think it was in 2006 or 7. It's some unbelievably long streak. And, I mean, that might have been Saban's first year maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a long time. And speaking of that Louisiana Monroe game, that's the last non-conference game that Alabama lost. We're talking about a severely dominant program. Now, Texas, despite what they say, you hear all the time about how they're back. They're back. That's the running joke, is Texas is back. Heck, even Sam Ehlinger in a Sugar Bowl said Texas is back. And it's like these jokes are writing themselves at this point. But Steve Sarkisian and the number of players that are familiar with the Alabama system could pose a little bit of problem for the Tide. Now, if you remember back to 2020, the Ole Miss-Alabama game, Ole Miss didn't have near the talented players of Alabama, but Lane Kiffin knew exactly what gave that defense trouble and what's going on. So they ran it and they turned into a shootout. Now, Ole Miss couldn't stop Alabama, but offensively they were able to make some hay. I think something similar to that might happen. I think Alabama is going to cover the 20-point line. That's not what I'm worried about. But I think this game could be like a 42-21 maybe, or a 35-14, although Texas's defense couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. But we'll see exactly how they look moving forward. Texas, I think, is going to be a good team. Now that basically buying players is legal, Texas is going to rise fairly quickly. but we are not there yet. Will they have enough patience with Sark? We will see. The next game on my list is number 24 Tennessee at number 17 Pittsburgh. This should be a fun game. Pitt famously beat Tennessee last year, although Joe Milton was the quarterback of the Vols at that time. And now Hendon Hooker is taking command. And he is running the offense fairly effectively. Now you got the Brew McCoy, the Cedric Tillmans. You've got Jabari Small in the backfield. You've got more weapons than you had last year. I think Tennessee is probably going to take this game. Pittsburgh's defense, for as good as the offense kind of was against West Virginia, the defense was kind of leaky, and JT Daniels kind of had his way against that Pitt defense. Although, by the way, the backyard brawl needs to happen every year. NCAA, make it happen, whichever conference. Big 12, if you have to invite Pittsburgh in, and the ACC, if you have to let them out of their grant of rights, do it. That's a rivalry that's worth watching. That was a fun game. But I expect Tennessee in the Johnny Majors Bowl to go up there and perform relatively well. Tennessee's wearing the Stormtrooper uniform as they do on the road. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that. And our final game that we are paying attention to is number 20 Kentucky at number 12 Florida. Now, I think the pollsters overreacted to them beating Utah. I think that was a combination of Utah not being that good, Florida not being that bad, but to go from unranked all the way up to 12th, that's a stretch. That's a game where if one pass went a little bit differently, we're having a completely different conversation. I agree with the fact that Utah only dropped to like 13 or 14. I don't agree with Florida being up at 12. Not if you're going to start them out outside the poll. 19th would have been perfectly fine for them. Now, Anthony Richardson played really well. He's a plus model of the quarterback that did so well for Billy Napier at the University of Louisiana. Now, he's going to be able to use Anthony Richardson. They're going to run the ball. They're going to be physical, and eventually they're going to play defense. The secret sauce behind Billy Napier and his system in Louisiana is to get better players than the other teams have. So recruiting is where they're going to try and make their hay. They're going to try and build their roster up to where they just have better players. It's the Alabama system. They're going to try and institute that at Florida. It should be interesting to see. It's a game that could go any way. I think Chris Rodriguez. I think somebody else. Anyway, he's out this game. Kentucky ran for 60 yards against Miami of Ohio. As a team that's identity for the last 5 to 10 years has been the run game, that is, let's say, discouraging. So this game could be on Will Levis's shoulders. So if he shows up and plays really well and then win the game, that's going to bode well for Will Levis going down the road. If he has an average game and Kentucky drops this game, there's a chance that Kentucky's season could tank a little bit. Not necessarily like they used to tank. There's not a 2-10 going to get thrown up. But a tank for Kentucky this year could be 7-5. So we'll see. Barry and Brown brought a kickoff back last week. Special teams will be important. Defense will be important. I'm expecting a relatively low-scoring game. And if whether or not Will Levis can pull it out at the end is the question. I do think that pollsters, like I said, they overreacted a little bit and moving them up to number 12. So those are the 3 games that we are ready to watch this weekend, week 2. This is a college football Saturday. Enjoy them. There's not many of them. We're already the second one. And if you think about 12 games in a season, that's like a sixth of the way through. Time just absolutely flies. So we'll see you tomorrow. See you later.